Line up, you f***ing nerds. Who wants a shot at the champ?
They bring the heat.
Francis Ngannou is the hardest puncher in the history of fighting.
They bring the knowledge.
If you think this fight is going 5 rounds, you are out of your mind.
They bring you the picks.
The dog is getting it done in this one.
We deliver every single week. We're bringing the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
The money line.
Don't miss it on the MMA Experts channel each week. The Money Line, we're live. It's UFC London. I am AJ, joined as always by my guy, Mike Finch. What's happening, Mike?
I'm good over here in the neighborhood, AJ. Enjoying my summer, man. Getting ready for these fist fights. Actually going up and down this card. This one's more fun than the last one. Let's be honest. More name value. I'm excited we're in London. I don't know how Molly Meatball's the co-main event on this thing. And Ketlen, Vieira, and Pannie's like the second fight. But I guess because we're in London, right?
It's the Paddy Pimblett rub that she has from being a part of that hype train and Pimblett not being on the card. I assume the Scousers will be cheering on Molly McCann. Obviously, the UFC was hoping that Paddy Pimblett could be on this card, but he's dealing with some injuries and whatnot, and then we'll probably see him back in 2024. Still good to have Tom Aspinall bouncing back, looking to get a win in the main event after the rough injury against Curtis Blades. I like this fight against Tybura for him. We'll get into it soon. I do want to quickly talk about the co-main and main event from UFC Vegas 77. Let's just first start with the main event. Mayra Bueno Silva with the coming out party strangles Holly Holm with a ninja choke. It was badass. And I feel like she punched her ticket into the title shot for me.
Did you just see my F fall off? I'm Mike Inch on my sign right now. Did you just see this shit? Unbelievable. We got to get it back, guys. I can't be Mike Inch for this show. I have to get it back.
You don't want to be known as Mike 1 inch, bro.
No, dude. No. I'll get my wife on this show. Don't you fucking dare.
Get the F back up there. There we go.
There we go.
I'm going to have to get you some more adhesive, bro. That thing's fell off, man. It fell off. What was it? On BK Bets, you had the issue, man.
Is that right? Okay,
yeah.
I don't remember it coming. See, BK Bets is pre-recorded. Y'all got to see some live shit right there. All right. My wife made me this sign, by the way. Very nice, right? What a nice birthday gift. AJ ain't got no wife making him shit. He bought that shit off of an ad on Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
this is
man,
made with love, AJ.
Listen, I got love coming. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm enjoying the early 20s. You know what I'm saying? I'm living it up like a young savage. I do know what you're
saying, man. No, do that for sure. Do that for sure. Were you talking about a fist fight?
I was, man. Holly Holm versus Bueno Silva. It was a sick win for Bueno Silva that jumped her stock tenfold. She finished Holly Holm as impressively, really, as it can get. Obviously, Amanda Nunes with the high kick. That was the quickest finish of Holly. But you look through Holly Holm's run. I mean, she's gone long with the likes of Jermaine Durandame, Chris Cyborg, controversial loss to Ketlen Vieira, who's actually on this card. And Bueno Silva strangled her. I feel like the Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena fight, business-wise, is not a good move. There's no steam on that fight. You definitely can't sell a pay-per-view with it, and I'll suggest to you, I don't think the UFC would try to diss the fans by putting either Juliana Pena and Pennington or Juliana Pena and Bueno Silva as a main event. But I'll tell you this, if you put Bueno Silva in a co-main event spot and you somehow get a Brazil card with a title on the line, there's a lot of interesting things that we can make happen here for the weight class. And I feel like the stock of Bueno Silva right now just skyrocketed. She finished Holly Holm. Pennington, who's supposed to be next in line for the title to fight Juliana Pena, has 2 losses to Holly and, in my opinion, an iffy asterisk type win over Ketlen Vieira. So I want to see Bueno Silva in the title picture.
Why not? Why not? I think she made a good case. This was Amanda Nunes' belt. It belongs to Brazil. I want to fight Juliana Pena. I was like, check. I'm in 100%. Look, breaking down Holly Holm and Bueno Silva, it was really a technique that worked. It is the power of jiu-jitsu, right? The power of jiu-jitsu is Chael Sonnen can take you down in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the 5th round, if you throw up a triangle, you win, right? It's not like football where you're down 40-0 and you can't really come back. You could always come back with jiu-jitsu. You could always come back with a knockout on the feet, of course, but it's the superior bit to wrestling in that sense, where jiu-jitsu has this one advantage where you could just finish a fight at any time, and that's what she did. She shoved Holly Holm's heads down there. She wrapped up that very interesting guillotine. Like, you wouldn't get that on somebody with a big Dagestan neck, but a woman, you'll notice that women do more like headlocks and trips, and that's another thing, right? They have smaller shoulders and necks. You could probably fit in like head and arm chokes like that easier. I remember seeing Jessica Evil Eye get a standing head and arm choke in Invicta. Same type of thing, right? So it worked for their body types, and she made it happen. What a rare type of a strangle, and what a huge win for her. She lost that first round. She was getting controlled on the fence. She couldn't really close the distance too well, but that's the power of jiu-jitsu. You slap on one choke and you get it done. So yeah, I would love to see her fight Juliana Pena. She could beat Juliana Pena, AJ.
Do you think that Holly Holm is done?
I didn't see Holly like look old, I wasn't watching that fight like, ooh, Holly's slow. Like, she was firing on all cylinders, Holly's never been this like jiu-jitsu ace, and it's hard to get out of that thing. When you're caught in that thing, one of the best things Holly could have done was create separation. She needed Bueno Silva's hips far away from her hips. It's hard to do in the cage, right? Being stuck up on that fence. So, no, I didn't see Holly looking old, AJ. Did you?
I feel like
AJ
there
did
a tad bit, not like overly
okay.
drastic. I feel like, I don't know, something on the feet just didn't look maybe as quick. She wasn't as explosive closing the gap. Her body maybe didn't look as primed as in the past. I mean, we'll see, because I think that she still has intentions of fighting again, but I put her kind of in this like La La Land zone, because I feel like, you could try to build a prospect off of her. I don't know. You give her Macy Chiasson or something like that. Or they go the route of super fight with Miesha Tate. We bring it back to the old days. Let's have a little fun. Let's do Holm and Tate. It's a good co-main event that you can put on any, fight night card. It's a good featured bout. People, I mean, come on. The OG fans who watch both of them early in their runs would love to see a rematch. And Holly can look to avenge that loss too. So I'm thumbs up for Miesha Tate versus Holly Holm. That's what I want next.
That makes sense. Give me a good throwback. Hey, how about Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey 2 with the Ronda comeback? Come on, AJ. We got to get creative.
If Ronda came back, I feel like she's probably going to look for the title. That's just my thought process, because getting knocked out again by Holm, I feel like they're going to give it to her too if she wants it.
Yeah.
What's the point of her coming back, really, right? She's made so much money in this game. It's prize fighting at the end of the day. And to put it all on the line to fight, a Juliana Pena that, I mean, in her prime, maybe we're arguing a different thing. But right now, as tough as Juliana Pena is, man, I just see her in Ronda Rousey's face. And I feel like Ronda would end up wilting in the second or third round and getting TKO'd. So I feel like Holly Holm is in a spot where she fights Tate. If Rousey was to come back, I'd expect them to try to look for her in a title fight, just because it'll do huge numbers. But I'm not opposed to this. Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey 3, Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey 2 could also be in the works somehow with that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can finagle it, but regardless, I don't believe Holly Holm nor Ronda Rousey nor Miesha Tate is ever going to hold gold in the UFC again.
Got it. No, well, you know what though? There is a world where Ronda could beat Juliana Pena. I think Bueno Silva is probably a harder matchup for Ronda, because Bueno Silva is so talented on the ground too. Pena has got more of that wrestler style. I don't know. I could imagine a world where Ronda and Juliana is a pretty good fight. Obviously Ronda's not going to be in her prime anymore. And, prime Ronda, I think, would armbar Juliana Pena. With that being said, there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about around there. I was so blown away by how competitive the Jack Della Maddalena fight was. How crazy was that? Jack, why are you jumping guillotine after guillotine after guillotine? To do it in the first round over and over again was one thing. To come out in the second round and do it again, my mind was blown.
I agreed. I feel like it was reminding me of Conor McGregor trying to pull a guillotine with
Against
Poirier.
Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'll tell you this, Jack Della Maddalena fought a savage in Basil Hafez. Coming in on short notice, holy hell. That dude is jacked. He's durable as they come. He's got incredible will to win, and he's strong. I feel like Hafez is an interesting player at 170 right out the gate. Obviously, the speculations, though, are has he been tested by USADA yet? That's a big concern because he
doesn't pass the eye test. Okay,
he doesn't pass
Holy
the eye test.
shit.
Listen, I said on the live stream, I said, if you ask me natty or not Basil Hafez, it's not natty. I'm not USADA. I'm not saying he's definitely on anabolic steroids. I'm not saying I'm guaranteed to be right, but I have to throw my opinion in the hat. That type of build, just the way that his muscles were just so full and huge, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me. And the fact that he still was taking those bombs, like, dude looked like he could just eat punches unbelievably. Nobody takes a Jack Della punch like that.
Right.
Now, it's very possible Basil Hafez is the 1% of 1% genetic specimen who can take big shots and is going to have a nice run in the UFC. But ultimately, it's still a little suspect. When you haven't been under USADA for a little while, if I saw he had 3 USADA tests or something, I'm like, all right, I trust it now. But the fact that he's coming in on short notice, fighting in organizations that's testing, I would say, is minimal to zero, there has to be a little suspicion just looking like that.
Bro, how does that guy make 170? 170. He
Crazy.
looked like a 205er in that fucking cage, man. And you know what else? I liked the strategic approach from Basil Hafez. He went out there like he was shot out of a cannon. He wasn't trying to bang it out with Jack Della in that first round. He got a hold of him and he tried to make Jack feel the strength. He tried to put it all on Jack right away and get Jack out of his game a little bit. Right away, we were dealing with a 70% Jack Della Maddalena just because he had to deal with this monster, grabbing him, throwing him on the ground, punching him in the face, being heavy on top. So he just made it chaos, man. And the fight was awesome. I loved seeing Jack have to dig deep. I mean, poor Jack. He probably would have preferred an easier fight. But watching it for us, man, it was cool to see Jack dig deep and sort of see what he's doing when he's redlining like that. Apparently, it is possible to take Jack Della down, and it is possible to make him make some mistakes, such as jump the 3rd guillotine in a row, you know? So you bringing up the Conor McGregor guillotine is a great example because it's a striker. And with Conor's case, Conor was in a position where it looked desperate to me, right? Like when you're in the gym and you're tired and you get that neck, you got an option, right? You could start to frame and let it go and start to work out, or you could be like, let's go for this Hail Mary guillotine. Let me see if I could jump this thing. I hope I can get it because other shit ain't going well. That felt like Conor's to me. Conor's felt a little bit desperation. This one with Jack, it's interesting to see, was he that desperate? Was he a little bit scared in there with that monster, you know? So not calling him scared. You know what I'm saying? It's a feeling of like, I better finish this fight because this guy is stronger than anybody I've fought before. Very interesting, wild scrap. Thank God Jack Della pulls through because my parlay came through. If you cash that Prado knockout, I just said for the parlay, Prado money line, Jack Della money line. If you cash that, please give us some love over here. All right. You could send us money and we appreciate it. And dude, Prado knockout, just to put a cherry on it. Beautiful, beautiful win. What an awesome fight that was too.
Prado knockout was sick, man. Prado should have been the lock, man. Tucker Lutz really let me down as the underdog lock of the card. I saw the game plan starting to work in the first round. I'm like, yes, press him towards the cage, control him. But it seemed like Lutz just didn't have the abilities that maybe I assumed / hoped that he would have. I don't know, man. I guess Tucker Lutz, there's a faith that I have in guys with a good amount of amateur experience, with an impressive pro record, that are under 30 and having some UFC experience against someone that comes from a pure striking background. I guess had the, mindset of, okay, Lutz is gonna, embrace the grind. And he kind of tried to a bit, but he falls in love with his hands, man. Melsik Bagdasaryan hurt him a few times. The rightful winner was Melsik, so that was a good performance. I just had to bring up that disappointing L on my end because it was annoying in the moment, man. I was pretty disappointed because overall the record was good. Post weigh-in 9-4, I believe, with the card, so not too shabby with the picks there.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, brother. You you were right that he could take him down. He took him down at least twice, right? Once for sure. I remember a good takedown, but
it was two, but it was like it wasn't like secured control time every time.
You got it. He was letting him pop up. He couldn't climb the body. You think about the human body when you're a wrestler as a ladder. You slowly climb up that body. So he needed to get from controlling the knees to controlling the hips and eventually pinning the shoulders. He never was able to work up the body all the way. Good job by the striker, man. Bagdasaryan's cool to watch. Fun fighter. Kept it on the feet. Made it fun. Definitely an entertaining performance by him, and he showed us he could keep it on the feet. Though getting taken down twice by Tucker, you got to be careful with him in the future. Same thing with Jack Della Maddalena. When they get matched up with wrestlers, we got to be careful because we saw that there is an avenue to make those fights competitive with them.
My thoughts with JDM is this. Does Sean Brady have the chin of a Basil Hafez? I just don't believe that. So now that fight is still a very intriguing matchup for me. I think some people will jump ship off Jack Della Maddalena. Holy shit, he had this bad performance. It's a guarantee. Yeah, I just feel like, you know what? I'm still not counting him out in that matchup. I do think Basil Hafez might be a bit of a specimen. Assuming every USADA sample comes back clean, then he really is going to be a player at 170 because I feel like a guy with that type of explosiveness, strength, and durability on short notice, I cannot imagine a Basil Hafez fighting at 100%. He's going to bully some guys with that wrestling, man.
All right, the chat wants Mr. Pibb to be in timeout. He's being very naughty. Secondly, I don't know. I'm just reading this stuff. Secondly,
Mr. Pibb, cut it out.
Pick who said it actually? Oh, Mr. D. No, Brady got TKO'd by Bilal Pillow Fist. How dare you disrespect Bilal Muhammad like that? However, we have to look at that, right? The matchup couldn't be more different, though. Like Bilal Muhammad, also a wrestler. Bilal Muhammad was training with all the Dagestanis for that one. So maybe Sean Brady felt like, fuck it, I'm going to try to strike with him. Sean Brady's not going out there to strike with Jack Della Maddalena. He's going to be shooting his ass off. And, the way I heard it put was, holy shit, if that was Sean Brady on Saturday night, maybe Sean Brady would have took it to JDM. Yeah, but it wasn't, and JDM gets to, look at that tape and hopefully go, oh my God, I'm never going for a guillotine again. And I think that was really the mistake. Really, the biggest mistake was he gave up those takedowns with a poor decision, going for something that is not as high percentage as a simple sprawl, tuck the head, run a quarter Nelson, overhook, get to a wizard position next to the person, underhook, square up with them, front headlock, snap down. He had other places to go to grapple. Grabbing a guillotine and falling on your back just has never been my favorite thing. Take it from somebody who's done it in an MMA fight as well. I've made that mistake. I've jumped a guillotine and had to have the guy's head pop out, and I eventually armbarred him. Eventually, it was within 30 seconds I armbarred him. But at the UFC level, you're not going to be able to just rely on throwing shit up from your guard like that. You cannot be relying on these, jumping on my back with guillotines. Hopefully Jack Della learned that, AJ. If he did, that's when I could potentially see him beating a Sean Brady. If he wants to jump guillotines against Sean Brady, bro, Sean Brady's going to beat him.
Don't jump no guillotines, Jack Della. Let's get into this UFC London fight card, my man. Let's start it off. First fight on the card, we have Jafel Filho versus Daniel Barez. I'm going to be picking Filho to win this fight here. He had a good performance and loss against Muhammad Mokaev. I think that he's going to have a bit of an advantage on the ground here, and I think even his gas tank in this matchup against Barez. Note that Barez is a pretty impressive striker as of late, But when you dig into the records of such opponents, it's combined last 4 wins for Barez. He's on a nice streak, 37-39 pro record for those fighters. I believe 2 of them had losing records, and then 2 of them, near 500, slightly better than that. So that's not what Filho is. This is a 14-3 guy that's been around for a while, obviously now bursting onto the UFC scene, but he has a good skill set. He's also 4 years younger than Barez. So I like Filho to win. As far as the method of victory, I could see a later submission by a Filho, but I also could see Barez going long because he looked damn tough in his fight with Carlos Hernandez on Contender Series. So give me Filho to start the night.
Yeah, this is a good one, man. Barez will be interesting. He can wrestle. He could definitely take Filho down, but what is he going to do then? Get knee barred like Muhammad Mokaev? I think Filho above his fireplace has Muhammad Mokaev's leg still sitting there. Probably put some strings on it, made it a base. It's the deepest knee bar I've seen in the UFC, and Muhammad Mokaev didn't tap. Muhammad Mokaev didn't tap. He said he had injured for how long? Did you hear his interview afterwards that he had to stay off of that knee? And remember, he had to have like a shoulder surgery, so he was already in there banged up. It's like, you got to watch out with these guys accumulating injuries like that. When you tough out a knee bar, you might not be walking for a while. I assume you saw Gary Tonin slap on that knee bar over the weekend.
He beat the Sambo guy.
Yeah, knee barred a very, very good combat sambo competitor, a guy who was winning the fight by all means. But that's the power of jiu-jitsu, folks. Anyway, I do think Filho could win this fight. It's just he could have trouble on the feet. I can imagine Barez being able to, he keeps good distance, explodes in, and I was actually kind of feeling like picking him for this fight, and then I dug in and I found the exact same thing AJ did. He's fought some cans, dude. And it's not even the worst thing. Like when you're trying to build your fighter, you could definitely, give them some wins, and that's an important aspect, but it's not like his record is beautiful. I mean, he's 34 years old and his record's 16-5, and a few of those 16 wins are against people with like 500 records. Yeah, I got to go with the guy who's had the better competition, the guy who's had 2 UFC fights, one in the Contender Series and 1 UFC fight, I should say. Give me Filho, give me decision. Good fight, and Barez is in it. And if you can control where the fight takes place, plus the striking, I could see why somebody would want to pick him. But in that UFC spotlight, I'll go with the guy who's been there.
Odds for the fight, Filo's a favorite at -132. Barez, the +112 underdog. And then also over 1.5 sits at -240. Interesting to have an over 1.5 line for this fight here. I'd assume because it's flyweights that have an over 2.5. I expect it to break into the later stages. I would say Filho by decision or late sub is live, because Barez is not an easy out, regardless of, as we've said, he hasn't fought the highest level of guys in his past 4. He still has a good loss to, I guess no loss is good, but a good performance in loss to Carlos Hernandez. So Filho gonna be the pick. I like the decision side, but late sub would not be impossible here. Close money favorite Filho to beat Daniel Barez to start the night off. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we got Bruna Brasil versus Shauna Bannon. So Bruna Brasil does have an interesting karate-esque striking style. She was stopped in her last fight against Denise Gomes, who went out and blitzed Yasmin Hadigi and knocked her out in like less than 30 seconds. So I guess that kind of takes some of the sting off of that loss for her stock. But I'll say this. I think that Shauna Bannon is a lot more of a dog than Bruna Brasil. She's not the same, like, pretty technical kickboxing from the outside. She can bring the heat with her hands in close. I'd say she's still a little bit raw, but I see a consistent effort to improve position if she's on bottom, shooting up submissions, looking for reversals. There's a lot of positive attributes I see with Bannon. I think that Brasil is decently skilled, but I'm going to pick Bannon to win it on the cards. I think she's a little faster with her boxing and a little bit just better with her overall striking skill set. Even though Brasil, I think, might be a little bit of a better pure kicker, she's more stiff and upright, and I don't think she has great punch combos. And also, like I said, that dog in Bannon gives me the pick for Bannon here.
I'm doubling up with you, brother. I'm going Bannon too. And For me, it's because she's a more complete striker. You alluded to it that Brazil has beautiful kicks. I mean, that head kick knockout was super sick. She's longer, a lot longer. She could fight a lot rangier. So you can imagine if she did a little more karate and kind of used that long leg and just kept teeing off from a distance, that would be nice. But I like Bannon's kicks too, and Bannon does cool shit. She'll do like a spinning jump switch knee. She'll come in there throwing hands. She constantly switches stances. Watch her fighting and count how many times she goes from orthodox to southpaw back and forth. It reminds me of like Bilal Muhammad against the Gilbert Burns, or what we just saw work against Robert Whitaker. I think the stance switching thing really makes it hard for your opponent to get good reads on you, and she's doing that constantly. That'll also affect the kicking ability of Brazil. I was watching one of her fights. She was on bottom, and her coach was like, "Get back to full guard," and it was so strange because she had a knee shield. She did pop back up, but I get concerned when I hear shit like that from coaches. Like, she's a striker. She needs to be back on her feet. With any space, you want that girl up on her feet immediately. If she does that, I do think she wins this fight. I don't want her spending too much time on her back. Luckily, she popped right back up on her feet. But while she was down there for a minute, her coaches only wanted her to get to guard. It's like, fuck guard. Use that knee shield and the underhook to get up to your feet. That's what she did. If she's on her feet here, she's pushing forward. She's being dynamic. I like it. If she's in the top position, obviously that would be great. I don't want to see her spending any time underneath Brazil because she's fallen sometimes. She likes to do, like I said, jump knees and shit. Sometimes you fall down, 3-round fight, you end up on your back twice. The clock burns out. You eat some elbows on the ground. It could be a problem. So as long as she's pushing forward, I agree with you, AJ, and let's double up on it.
The odds for this one here sit at plus 130 for Shauna Bannon, Bruna Brazil at minus 150. I do think this fight probably goes long at the over, but if you're going to play it, I think you're just touching Bannon money line. Note it, we have an undefeated girl with just 5 professional fights. She's 29 years of age. Her opponent the same age, but does have more bouts as a pro. Leg skills, the kicks for Brazil are going to be where she shines, but Bannon is bringing in a 3.5-inch reach advantage. She's an inch shorter at 5'5" to Brazil's 5'6" rather, and then it's a 69-inch reach for Bannon and a 65.5 for Brazil.
Is that
with
real?
The hands. Yeah, with the hands, man. The hands.
I got some long ass arms too, but damn, I mean,
she got the length, buddy.
Yeah, I was hearing that in that fight. It was Mina Grusander, by the way, that she was stuck under, where a coach was saying that. They said the same thing, where she's the shorter girl but has longer arms. Good for fighting.
Yeah, she got that length, man. Bannon, the underdog pick for Mike and I. Let's get to the next one. It's Chris Duncan versus Yanal Ashmouz. I'm going to be picking the Ashmouz side. Duncan is, I'd say, a pretty decent fighter. He's fairly heavy-handed. He's developing a game where he can mix it up and do it all, and at times when he needs to, press his opponents towards the cage, look for takedowns. I believe he's over at American Top Team working his whole game. Ashmouz on the other side is a pretty heavy-handed guy who I also think is well-versed. I'll tell you this with Chris Duncan. He's getting caught in the majority of the big fights that he's in. Even winning against Omar Morales, he was hurt badly in this fight. And then when you dig back to Contender Series, obviously had a back and forth where he was knocked out by Slava Claus. And then, he got a second Contender Series shot, and he comes in and he wins that fight by knockout against Charlie Campbell pretty quickly. But he was still touched even there. He's a guy that gets a bit reckless and caught. Ashmouz has some real fight-stopping knockout power in his punches, and I do think that he has the well-versed game to give a Chris Duncan a lot of problems. So I'm going to say Ashmouz TKOs him. He hurts him with punches, follows up, and gets him out of there.
Yeah, Chris Duncan, good, not great. Good, though. Like, hits key takedowns, physically strong, but not a fluid striker. And remember, Yanal Ashmouz, I hit like, I have hands like Mike Tyson, and he believes it, man. So if he's coming forward with those Mike Tyson hands, you could imagine him putting it on, a Duncan who doesn't get out of the way that well, right? Ends up in pretty competitive fights. Available as he tires out, so and of course we got to reference the Slava Claus knockout was super, super ugly, got clipped with that hook, and I could imagine a looping shot from Yanez too, man. Yanal Ashmouz, I might say Yanal Ashmouz, he's got a big overhand right. I think that might be enough. You know, the takedowns are nice too. Short, stocky guy, going to be hard to get underneath for Duncan's takedowns. Give me Yanal knockouts.
Odds for the fight, Ashmouz is a plus 125 underdog to Chris Duncan at minus 145 is the favorite. If you like Ashmouz by KO, the line sits at plus 325. I do think that is a fairly live tag as well. I think Ashmouz is going to get to him with the hands and knock him out. But no, Chris Duncan is dog tough, and I see a fun fight. Ashmouz, the underdog, the winner on our scorecard, man.
Right, and Duncan home game, where's Duncan from?
Not really a home game, right? He's from Scotland, so kind of home-ish. It's like if you're in the USA fighting in Canada, I guess, you know?
Not home enough to sway the pick. Got it.
Yeah.
Understood. Not that, you know, doesn't matter that much where you're fighting, but when you're like a Molly McCann or a Patty, they seem to have a certain fire when they're fighting at home. So had to check on that. Okay, got you. I like the way Ashmouz matches up with him, man. I think is he the dog?
Ashmouz plus 125. Yeah, man.
Brother. I'm liking it.
Yeah, let's go. Ashmouz underdog, the pick for us both. Let's get to the next fight. It's Ketlen Vieira versus Pannie Kianzad. I think Ketlen Vieira is going to win this fight. I see her probably putting on pressure to Pannie Kianzad, who does have, you know, decent boxing chops. I say she's got some decent straights and her movement's pretty solid. But Vieira is going to be a larger and like more powerful body. I think she could definitely control her in close. I think that elbows in the clinch could be an effective, avenue for Vieira to go towards, backing Kianzad up, really wearing on her with their size. Kianzad isn't really heavy-handed, and Vieira, you know, she'll throw a little bit wide with her hooks, and obviously that got her caught against Irene Aldana. But overall, she is, you know, pretty tough and takes a good shot. I think that Vieira is going to put the pace on a Kianzad, backing her up, and I think she's going to control her, make it nasty in close range. I'm going to go Kianzad for the win. Or excuse me, I'm going to go Vieira for the win over Kianzad. No, I'm not going Kianzad.
You want to take it back? Are you sure?
I'm going Vieira for the win, 100%, bro, 100%. 100%.
Look, these are 2 of the better female fighters in the UFC, AJ. I mean, I actually like this. I think this is a higher level matchup than the one in the co-main event. Agreed?
100% it is, but the names, bro. The name value isn't there. That's why this is on the prelims.
I feel
Molly McCann's got the casual hype over in England.
Fair enough. If it was in Brazil, come on, they'd have to.
If it's in Brazil, Molly McCann ain't even fighting on the card, bro. She's fighting in London only now.
Right, yeah, they sell tickets with the meatball. No, I like it. Yeah, I think Pannie keeps her chin tucked better than any fighter on the roster. She does a great job. You know, in boxing, they put the tennis ball underneath the chin, and they'll have you like box like that, walk around like that, so you get used to keeping the chin tucked. When she throws punches, kicks, that chin never comes up, so it's hard to land clean on her jaw. That makes it a lot harder to get to her and really affect her, right? She's tight and smooth with her striking, and her distance management is decent as well. So the thing is, though, she couldn't even really hurt Lena Landsberg.
No.
You know, and here she is. She's going to go against Ketlen Vieira. She's going to go against, you know, Jose Aldo just got added to the UFC Hall of Fame. That's the striking coaching Ketlen Vieira's got. Ketlen Vieira is in there with a lot better competition. So give me Ketlen Vieira all day here. I'm going to have to say TKO.
Ketlen Vieira by TKO is a ballsy call. I respect it. Vieira money line sits at minus 156 to Kianzad's plus 136. And Vieira to win this fight by a KO, as Mike Finch called, is a pretty savage line of plus 1,200, my man.
What?
They're saying there's no chance she finishes her, man. That's plus 1,200 to me.
Look, the reason why she wouldn't finish her is due to that chin tucked, hands up, pretty smooth style, doesn't get too hurt. I understand that, but where Ketlen's at in her career, I think their whole game plan is to get this girl out of there. They need a highlight reel. They need her to shoot back up to the top of the division because it's opening up. I mean, so if I was Ketlen Vieira, I'd be hungry as fuck. I'd be looking to knock this bitch out.
I think that she could throw some heavy hands on her. It's just, like you said with Kianzad, though, man, that chin tucked might be hard to land the perfect strike. I think she can land I think she'll win. I'm picking Vieira on the cards personally. I mean, I like the KO line. I like what you're thinking. I'd love to see some violence here. I just feel like it's going to end up being a Vieira decision.
Obviously, that could be the case. You guys know me. Generally, money line. The odds aren't too crazy. Ketlen Vieira money line sounds good to me.
Ketlen Vieira for the win for both of us. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. It's Makhmud Muradov versus Bryan Barberena. I was weirded out when I saw this matchup because I'm like, damn, Barberena's fighting at 170 pounds. And, you know, he's a back end mid-tier guy there that gives really entertaining fights. And then he decides to jump up a weight class and fight a Makhmud Muradov, who honestly doesn't have a big name in the weight class, but is actually pretty skilled. He's a quality kickboxer. It's just he got submitted by Mearshart and Kyle Barajo bullied him on the floor. But you can't write him off against a striker like Bryan Barberena. He's going to be bigger. I think that he's going to be more powerful. Barberena is a good peppering puncher, and he has a lot of volume out of that southpaw stance, but he's at a size disadvantage here. I can see Muradov even employing a bit of control and maybe even a takedown here. Barberena's last two, he's been taken down and finished by guys in the welterweight division. Granted, guys with good grappling accolades like Dos Anjos and Gunnar Nelson. Muradov doesn't have that level of grappling, but you still got an OV at the end of your name. I mean, that's like plus 15 points of ground skills. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were off the OV.
What here you have
you
to
are
pick
or you
him.
off?
He's a minus 350, whatever favorite, bro. Like, it's Muradov to win. I like Barberena as a tough SOB, and it would be dope to see him TKO Muradov. I'll be honest, I'd be, as a fan, more hyped seeing him put his punches together and knock Muradov out. Right. But, like, who is Barberena stiffing at 170 pounds? Now you're going to knock out a big kickboxer at 85? No. He's an opponent here, and I think that Barberena, I guess the UFC isn't into the Barberena train. I think he's a fun guy to watch. I would have rather seen him fight a 170-pound striker, but maybe they think they'll get fireworks here. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. What is this move up to 185? If any 170-pounder was moving up to 185, Bryan Barberena was the last guy I expected, you know? Like, you know, Bryan Barberena, not the leanest guy, you know, coming from, I'm no bodybuilder either. You know, when I'm out there fighting, I'm not the leanest guy in the world, but it's like, why would I move up? I fought at 170 as well. I wouldn't be moving up to 185. So interesting move for Mr. Barberena. I'll definitely take a look at the physique at weigh-ins and sort of, you know, curious as to why. I want to hear from him as well. What are we doing here? Is there a paycheck at the end of this rainbow? What do we got? Muradov should be able to put him away, maybe. I mean, either a decision or a TKO. It's probably a nice parlay piece if you guys don't like the line. Muradov lost to Gerald Mearshart, but he was whooping Gerald Mearshart's ass in that fight. We love Gerald. Shout out to Gerald. He's come on our show. Gerald's the man. He checks my stories. I know he dips in every now and then. Gerald's the man, but come on, you know, he was on the wrong end of that fight for most of it, and then. How much am I going to praise jiu-jitsu this show? Gerald Mearshart slaps on that rear naked strangle and gets it done. And then Kyle Barajo couldn't even finish him. It was a decision. Those are great grapplers. These are outstanding grapplers. Now he's in there with a 170 like brawler, you know? Yeah. This seems like a perfect matchup for him, man. You know, Muradov's got to be very, very happy with this matchup. And even at 185, he might be faster than Barberena. So yeah, Muradov all day, money line it because it could go all rounds if Barberena is as tough as he was at 170.
Minus 330 for Muradov as a favorite. Barberena plus 270. Muradov to win it by a decision is plus 150 and TKO is plus 175. My official call is the same. Thinking decision because this matchup literally makes no sense. Like, I'm looking at this fight and I really can't believe we're going to see this on Saturday. I don't know. I don't get this fight. You know, there's certain matchups, I guess, in the game occasionally that happen that I just don't agree with as a matchmaker. Like, I like Barberena as a fun guy on fight night cards. Why am I going to now put him in a 3-fight losing streak situation fighting someone who's a lot bigger in Muradov, who's a striker? I don't know. Oh, you know, hopefully Barberena chins him. Hopefully Barberena
we're missing some piece of information here. Does Bryan Barberena want to make a home at 185 now? What are we doing?
we got to see that media day. So make sure you guys check out Bryan Barberena's media day. Maybe we can get a little intel on this decision making here. Muradov should beat him, though. The pick from Mike Finch and I both is going to be Muradov. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we have Jamal Pogues versus Mick Parkin. So here, I think Mick Parkin is a little bit of a raw heavyweight. I was listening to one of his fights, not the Contender Series one, but a different matchup. And, the commentator was talking about how technical and skilled he is for a heavyweight. And I'm like, you know what? He looked technical and skilled in that fight against a guy who looked horrible. It's not UFC caliber. Yeah, you can look technical and skilled against somebody that, is more mid to low tier as far as the whole international scene goes. But he's now in the UFC. Jamal Pogues is 1-0, and he has a win over Josh Parisian. Who do I compare Mick Parkin to, Mike Finch? He's a slightly better Josh Parisian. Right. I think he's a little heavier handed. I think he's a little bit more athletic and stronger. But overall, he reminds me a ton of Josh Parisian as of right now. Obviously, he's a bit better with the boxing, and I think he has a higher ceiling. Jamal Pogues has more fight experience. He's been in there with good names. If you dig into Jamal Pogues, right, you look at the losses he faced outside of the UFC. He fought Taylor Johnson, who's a good Bellator light heavyweight. Alex Polizzi, another good Bellator light heavyweight. Jordan Young, the late Jordan Young, rest in peace, but at the time was a good PFL fighter. So he's been in there with, pretty skilled guys. For Mick Parkin, this is the best guy he's ever fought. The kid he fought on Contender Series, Neves, gave up, and he gave him the neck. Like, let's be honest here. He gave up, and he gave him the neck. I sat next to the commissioner of Oklahoma at the bare knuckle fight. Right. And we were talking, and he was talking about, like, in MMA, it's essentially, he was saying MMA is safer than boxing. And I was agreeing. He said, but the reason is because in MMA, things can be going sideways. You give your back, you tap out, you get choked. You're always a warrior. In boxing, you take a knee and say, no, I don't want it. They ain't calling you back to fight again. So I was like, that's interesting. Right. And Neves did exactly that. So Mick Parkin is breaking guys. Pogues doesn't seem like someone that's going to break here. He's been into championship rounds too, outside of the UFC. I like Pogues, man. I think his boxing is going to be there. His wrestling is going to be there, and just more high level experience coming up too from light heavyweight. I expect him to be clearly faster than Mick Parkin.
All right. Mr. Parkin, undefeated. And I know that always looks good to people. Let me read off the records here. He beat off a Thomas Vicalis, who was 1 win and 10 losses. Next guy, 2 wins, 17 losses. 2-3, 7-7, and 6-9. That was all of his pro experience before Dana White's Contender Series, where, of course, he got the rear naked strangle over Eduardo Neves, who was 5-0. So pretty much fighting nobody until he got to the UFC, which, again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm 5-0 in amateur MMA. I didn't fight the best guys I could possibly find. When you're working your way up to a big fight, you try to, get some cage time. And then you take the big fights when it matters, when there's a title on the line, when there's a bunch of money on the line. That makes sense. But here we got to pick him. I mean, yeah, Pogues has fought way better competition. He could box. He could definitely kick box. I like his front kick up the middles, very fast. He's got pretty fast hands for a heavyweight. Doesn't move his head a whole lot, but I like how he parries and responds back. And if Parkin's stuck on the feet for any length of time, I think he's getting boxed up. Parkin needs to get to the top position in this fight. It seems to me anyway, and he's as green as you alluded to, if not more, AJ. I mean, I saw him pull mount in one of those fights against one of those not so successful fighters. So we don't want to see people pulling mount. He had a single leg. The guy was going for a guillotine. He just pulls him into mount. Like, brother, you don't want to be underneath some of these heavyweights in the UFC. Pogues, we have to go with until Parkin proves himself. I'm not going to be betting on this fight in general. Let's be honest, but I'll have to go with the guy who's fought better people.
We're going with Pogues for the win. He is a -145 favorite over Mick Parkin, who sits at the +125 dog tag. Pogues to win it by decision is kind of what I'm seeing, but I'm not telling you to bet it. +200. Pogues by TKO to none of this shit. I mean, if you're going to play this fight, I think Pogues could be a money line piece. It could be something that you put in a parlay, looking for a little extra plus money. Because if you look at it, right, as you said, Mike, it's a guy who's kind of been built up, not fighting great names. And then even on Contender Series, I believe Neves was 6-0 or 5-0 when they faced off. He broke in that fight. And it's not like Parkin looked like this technical world beater. I'm not sold on Parkin. I think Pogues wins. His toughness might be very real. We'll find out a lot out about him in this fight, because even if he goes in there and loses, he's still a young guy at heavyweight. I'm not saying he can't be a UFC fighter. I'm not saying he won't stick around. I just think the level of jump of competition is going to be pretty vast here, and it seems like too much to handle for me.
Agreed. And you know, this is the type of fight where, you know, we kind of, it's a check, you know. I'll know where Parkin's at a lot more after this one. These guys are young in the game too. And AJ, let's admit, you know, the heavyweight's the deepest division, right?
The deepest division, if we're talking about the shallow end, you know what I'm
saying? This is the kiddie pool division. So you could be a big dog here quick, and maybe we'll see both these guys stick around.
Let's see. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. I am excited for this one. It's Marc Diakiese versus Joel Alvarez. I think Alvarez is going to strangle him. He probably catches a neck in this fight here. Marc Diakiese, when things haven't been going his way, right, when he's been taking on guys who are slightly more technical in the striking, he has turned into John Fitch. He's embraced the grind on all these guys. Now, some of the newer fans are going to be like, who is John Fitch? He's going to outfitch him, all right? John Fitch is an OG.
John Fitch, not Finch, folks, because I've been approached multiple times. Are you related to that guy who fought George St. Pierre? No. Fitch, folks.
With a T. People think you're Mike Fitch, though. I see it all the time. Mike Fitch in the house.
They think I'm John Fitch, bro.
Yeah, you look like him, actually.
Yeah, I would have beat George. Come on. Undefeated.
Listen, you're right.
Undisputed. The dude had it right earlier in the comments. What did he say? He gave me a Chael Sonnen line. I'm finding it now. Mike Finch. Women want him and the men want to be him. The biggest arms and the biggest charm. How do we get here?
We'll bring it up for him. All right. So I'll tell you this, man. In this fight right here, I think Alvarez is the more dangerous guy. He's taller, he's longer, and he's more slick with the submissions. I feel like he's going to put it on Diakiese. Alvarez throws heavies, man. And you can't write Alvarez off as somebody that's going to still make waves. Like, he lost to Arman Sarukian by TKO, ground and pound on the ground. His other losses years ago to Demiraz Magulov. I really feel as though Alvarez strangles Diakiese in this fight. I think he finds a neck. I'm going Alvarez to finish it. I'm going Alvarez by submission. I think he's far better than Marc Diakiese, who had a lot of hype on him at one point, right? He's a good athlete, but he's just, in my opinion, incredibly overrated for a long time. And like, when are we going to now, you know, be like, all right, he's overrated? I think it's people have recognized it after he lost to Michael Johnson.
He fought Slava Claus and beat him. You know, he's got good striking. He definitely has a nice overhand right, but you're right. That Michael Johnson fight was not great. You don't want to be losing to the 41,000-year-old Michael Johnson. So I do see Joel Alvarez doing well. I just, you know, what makes me hesitate is just seeing that Joel Alvarez isn't complete. Like we saw him get wrecked underneath Arman Sarukian, and I know everybody's gonna be like, oh, it's Arman Sarukian, but you know, he really pulverized him from that top position. We didn't see good fight IQ on bottom there, being able to create clinches or then get out. I call it like heaven and hell. You don't want to be in purgatory on bottom. You don't want to be right there where you're eating Tito Ortiz elbows all day. You're too close to the person, right, with a clinch, like Eddie Bravo style, or you're too far away. You got your knees pinched like Jose Aldo or the feet on the hips or whatever. And he did not show that awareness, which I like to see in a mixed martial arts fighter. You know, I called him a freestyle striker. You know, Joel Alvarez is like, you know, very open and free out there. And we've seen him get taken down. So, you know, I am not going to bet on Alvarez because I'm concerned even Marc Diakiese, could he take him down, AJ? I see a pathway for both of them. I'll take Alvarez based off of that one Michael Johnson fight. But honestly, before the Michael Johnson fight, I think this is a close fight, brother. You think it's close? Do you think that Alvarez could end up on his back?
I think that even if Alvarez is on his back, he can find something on Diakiese, man. He beat Thiago Moises up. I just don't hold Diakiese in high regard. He's a good athlete, but as far as his actual, you know, tool set that he brings to the table, I'm rather underwhelmed by Diakiese consistently. I mean, I remember when Diakiese first kind of burst onto the scene, and it seemed like if he would have won some fights, the UFC was going to be very happy to back him as a contender. Now 16-6. At one point had a 3-fight losing streak. I think here he loses. I feel like Alvarez is just going to be too much for him. I feel like Alvarez finishes him. Submission for Alvarez on my end, man. I'm pretty confident in it.
Our friend Dixon Sider Finch, does it concern you that Alvarez could pull 18 guillotines just like Jack Della Maddalena and Cody Brundage? Absolutely. I'm not going to bet on this fight, AJ. You?
We'll see what happens, man.
Fair enough. You know where we're at. We're both on the same side.
Yeah,
but,
same side.
I was on the fence on this one, man. It's interesting to hear anybody else I've heard from on this fight. All you guys are heavy Alvarez. We'll see. I maybe I have a little bit more faith in that big ass overhand right and the overall MMA ability of our red-haired friend.
Listen, the redheaded stepchild is plus 147, being Marc Jacasey, and Alvarez at minus 172. The win by submission for Alvarez, only plus 155, not jumping out the page. Close money line. I do think Alvarez beats him here.
Right. Fair enough. Alvarez, I'll go decision.
Let's go. Alvarez the win for us both. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card we have between Danny Roberts and Johnny Parsons. I'm picking Danny Roberts to beat Johnny Parsons. I feel like Parsons, in my opinion, is more so built for the lightweight division. He's only 5'9", and he clearly is carrying a fair amount of visible body fat. Now, he's got a damn good chin. He throws heavy shots. He's a scrapper. And you know what? Danny Roberts is kind of the guy that's just never been able to get to that next tier in the UFC. But I still think he could put it together with his hands in this fight. I think he could hurt a Parsons. I think it can turn into a bit of a brawl. I got to like the length here for Roberts, 6'1" to 5'9", 74-inch reach to 69. And Parsons, making his debut at 31. I know Roberts is 36, but he still seems to be moving fairly well. Obviously, he's got 2 losses in a row, Trinaldo and Jack Della. Before that, he does have some wins over some EVs. I feel like Danny should beat a Parsons, man. He really should beat up. I'm going to pick Danny here.
Danny Roberts is so much more technical than a Parsons, and I see where that comes from. Like if he just dots his I's, crosses his T's, there is a pathway for him to just sort of win this on the scorecards. You're right. Got knocked out by Della Maddalena, no problem. But I see him as much more technical here, but much less dangerous. Like, what do you really have to worry about against Roberts? And Parsons is the opposite. Parsons is a junkyard dog. He is super tough. He loves a hard scrap. He's always going for the knockout. And I could just see Roberts getting caught with one of those hooks, dude. When I play this fight in my head, I see Roberts doing fine, winning the majority of as the clock goes, but the damage coming from Parsons winning the exchanges, Parsons bringing the fight more. And, I always tend to give more credit to the people who've been in the UFC, but watching some of these Parsons fights, I think the UFC is going to love him. And I'm going Parsons knockout, AJ. I'm going against you finally, my friend.
Listen, if you got Parsons, you're looking at a line that sits at minus 125. Roberts plus 105 as the underdog. I'm going Roberts. Finch going Parsons. I think it's an interesting fight. Under 2.5 is minus 135. Parsons by a TKO sits at plus 160 to Roberts, all the way up at plus 325. Yeah, I'm picking Danny Roberts here, Mike Finch, but I respect the junkyard dog in Parsons. I'm just not overly impressed by the game, and I just feel like, damn, bro, Roberts, he should be clearly better, but you're right. We don't know for sure. You don't know. Sometimes you see Danny Roberts kind of just underperform consistently, man.
Very technical, but it's like, what do you have to worry about? Like Parsons is going to welcome the exchanges. Parsons is going to go in there, bite down on his mouthpiece, go punch for him. With him, if Parsons wants to be like conservative and sit on the outside and get tired, he could lose. I don't think he will, bro. I think the car is going to be in drive. I think the junkyard dog is going to come out. I bet it'll be a fucking pretty sick KO.
This is an interesting note from Dixon Sider. Parsons was seen in a recent interview with James Lynch, hesitantly admitting to have been struggling with concussion symptoms and headaches after training. Big red flags. Give me hot chocolate by TKO. That's interesting. That is interesting. Inside knowledge by Dixon Sider.
Shout out James fucking Lynch, the guy hustling. Damn, I did not know that. I did not see that interview. Thank you for that. Something
Parsons is the striking coach at Syndicate. Harry Plopper brings it up. That's interesting to note, the headache thing. That's odd. He does take a good punch though, and he's got a style that he's going to take some to land some. So that could be a red flag if you're hearing that, and then you're betting Parsons if he's dealing with concussion symptoms and whatnot. Hopefully this fight still happens. Yeah, that's interesting. We should both watch that. Roberts, my pick, Finch on Parsons. Either way, I think it's a good fight. Let's keep running. Next fight is Daniel Marcos versus Davy Grant. Mike, I think Daniel Marcos is a real problem at 135 right now. Obviously, he only has one UFC fight, and then they throw him a veteran to the caliber of Davy Grant. But I'll say this, Davy Grant is a lot more of a brawler style, where Marcos is very good at sniping his opponents. He finds beautiful shots. They land with power. He has incredible front kicks up the center. He uses his, kicks to the body or head incredibly well. Teep kicks, but he'll fucking crack one on your jaw. I feel like he's got dangerous power, and he has a pretty good fight IQ. He knows when to dig to the body. Davy Grant is a hard-nosed brawler with a good win over a Sun Sao last time out. But I feel like it's Marcos, man. I think he is a guy that can contend in the top of, 10, I'd say 12 of 135 right now. And Davy Grant is a tough out right around that. You look at Davy Grant, he had a good back and forth with Yanez where he could have won. Marcos is more technical than an Adrian Yanez. He's a lot more crisp with the striking. I think that he finds home to more significant strikes. Davy Grant is a very crafty and dangerous veteran here. Picking the method of victory, I said this, right? We're looking at tough veteran, dog tough veteran versus the new breed. I'm going to go with the exceptional kickboxing of Marcos. Is Davy Grant going to get chinned? That's incredibly hard to do. I lean decision, but method of victory is damn blurry. What I know is I think Marcos, being the technically better guy, is going to find a way to beat Davy Grant. And I think we got a problem here.
I think Yanez has a lot of technique to the hands, AJ. Interesting.
Not as smooth as Marcos, man. Marcos has more tools because also the kicks, the way he times kicks is fucking crazy. Yeah. Straight hands, though, if Marcos was more of just boxing, then Davy Grant, I think, is very much in the fight because Davy Grant is dog tough. He bites on the mouthpiece. He'll throw heavy fucking punches. I just think Marcos has so many tools, man. I like him. I like Marcos to win, especially against a striker.
Yeah, I respect it. Look, the way I see, first off, Davy Grant's bigger. That helps. And we're in London. That helps. Marco stands straight up, and when he throws he got that Muay Thai style with the boxing. I like it. He moves his feet pretty well. But the way Davy Grant comes up with the hooks, I think the way they match up, I could see Davy Grant coming up and cracking that chin, dude. Just watching the way Marcos moves. Although Marcos, I know this is going to sound funny, might be a little bit better. The way they match up, I imagine Davy Grant cracking him. I'm going to fucking Hail Mary a Davy Grant knockout,
Holy
AJ.
shit.
Sorry to disappoint, but I got Davy Grant by KO. I think that the way Marco stands up straight, he's going to try to throw one too many kicks, and Grant's going to go 2, 3, 3, and then a nice 6 over the top. Six would be here. 4 over the top. I believe he's going to get it. And so give me Davy Grant with some hooks.
Hooks for Davy Grant, and also Tannis throwing 199. AJ, you're a dog. Tybura about to survive in cash plus 350. Good luck to you, Tannis. Much love. We appreciate the 199. Listen, I think in this fight here, Marcos and Grant, I recognize that this is a massive step up in competition for, Marcos coming in. Hey, welcome to the UFC. 2 fights in. Right. We're going to give you a vet like Davy Grant. I just really do think that the technical skill set that he brings is going to shine here. I'm excited to see, man. I like that you're picking Grant. I think Grant's a dog tough veteran, but at 37, I'm going to say Marcos gets the W. Odds for the fight, -138 Marcos, plus 118 for Davy Grant. If you're looking at betting the knockout side that Mike Finch likes, you get plus 550 for that. If I'm talking about betting this fight purely, I like the money line Daniel Marcos side, because method of victory is ultimately going to be a little tricky for me here, because I respect the toughness of Davy Grant so much. Even with the abilities that I see Marcos having, I can see him winning a decision. I'm excited to see it, man. I'm ready to find out just how good Marcos is, and Davy Grant is probably the best measuring stick possible.
Yeah, brother. I mean, it's going to be a really fun fight, right? Like when you're looking forward to this card, this is one of those matchups where I'm like, all right, let's see what Marcos has got. Let's see what Grant's got. You know, it's going to be an interesting fight for both of them. I like the stylistic matchup here. I think we're going to get some fucking fireworks.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Win for Grant on Finch's end. Win for Marcos on my end. And let's jump to the next fight on the card. It is Lerone Murphy versus Josh Kulabeau, and it starts off the main card. So make sure you guys smash that like button if you haven't. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Show some love to the crew over here, the Moneyline team. Now, this matchup here, Mike Finch, I think Kulabeau is very live. Murphy, last time out, he fought a dog tough guy and Gabriel Santos, who took the fight on short notice, and he got through by this much. The decision was really up in the air in a toss-up. Murphy does have a good striking game, technically speaking. He isn't an exceptional power puncher. Kulabeau is pretty explosive and dangerous with his stand-up too. How I wrote this one down is simple, man. I put it split decision for Kulabeau. Murphy being well-rounded. Kulabeau, I would say, pretty damn dangerous, but also shines with striking more so than anything else, even though he did find a sub over Melsik Bagdasaryan. The record of Lerone Murphy is very impressive here. He's carrying the undefeated still. Kulabeau was also in there with Jalen Turner. That's a high-level matchup. Even though he took an L, that's still, you know, a big fight to have on your resume. I think he's going to bring fire to Murphy and win it on the card. Split decision.
Split decision call from AJ. Yeah. That's how you guys know not to bet on that shit. You know what I mean? We're thinking it's close. I can see that, dude. We've seen split decisions with these guys. So Gabriel Santos went to a split decision with Lerone Murphy in his last fight, and then Kulabeau went to a split decision with Songwoo Choi. So obviously they both like to, you know, sometimes leave it to the judges with those types of fights. 3-fight win streak, 4-fight win streak clashing. You gotta love it when we see that shit. Yeah, Lerone Murphy probably a little bit better on the feet. Kulabeau probably bringing a little more heat. I think Kulabeau, being a well-rounded fighter, could win this one on the scorecards. I bet it goes over. If you guys are interested in a pick on this one, maybe the over's where it's at. I don't know. AJ's the odds man always. I just come here with some picks and some ideas and a glass of water. That's all and some sunglasses. That's all I bring. So I want to hear that, but I'll double up with you on Kulabeau, but personally, not in my bets.
Over 2.5 rounds sits at -200, and Kulabeau is a +130 underdog, Mike Finch. Dog money, Mike Finch.
Yeah, both on.
Is it tempting you? Listen, bro. You like playing roulette, bro? You like playing blackjack? What do you like, my man?
I like betting on fights, and I've always thought that Las Vegas needs better games. Like, why do I have to go? Why is blackjack the only game I'm mildly interested in? I don't even know how to play poker. I see these people spinning the thing with the black and the white. Come on, guys. I want to play freaking Super Smash Bros. Give me Connect 4. I want to play people in like Madden for money. Why can't Vegas be more creative with the games? I want to play Call of Duty Zombies for money, okay? Vegas, be more creative for me.
Mike, I got to tell you, I like roulette a lot, man. I like the Vegas games, bro. I'm a simple man. I sit on the thing, give me my black 3 streak, okay? Take the money out, get the hell out of there, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Are you one of the guys on the machines? Just like
nah, never been a slot machine guy. I like roulette, bro. I think I'm good at roulette. I think I got a gift. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know what? I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson's talk on it, and he said it's all random. He said it's all just probability. And I said to myself, yeah, it's all probability. Ride the streak, bro. If you hit, Black, do it again. Black, hit it again. Okay, Black. Now, if you get 3 in a row, you should probably get the fuck out because the odds of a 4th, it's like it's the same, but it's not for you. It's like damn. All right, but whatever, man. We're talking about casinos too much.
If I got black, then most likely the next one would be red.
So at the end of the day, they say ride the streak, bro. That's just what I hear. Ride the streak. Let's go. Let's ride the underdog for the win, bro. Kula Beal's the pick. I think that he can win it. But yeah, listen, I called a split decision. I'm not telling you guys this is the most confident pick of all time, but I can see him pulling it off against Laurent. So Kula Beal for the W for Finch and I both. Let's get into the next fight on the card, which is Faraz Ziam versus Jai Herbert. I think Faraz Ziam is going to win this fight, Mike. Jai Herbert is a long kickboxer. He's fairly explosive. Ziam matches him similarly with the frame and the kickboxing background. Not as explosive and powerful, though. Still very young at 26. Ziam, where I think he will exceed a Jai Herbert, is with the grappling skills. Note, Faraz Ziam is a young guy training at what camp? Killcliff FC. A lot of savages on the ground over there. Jai Herbert, British fighter. Now, obviously, in 2023, it's not like the Brits can't wrestle, but it's still not their forte for the most part here. Ziam obviously comes from a striking base, but I can see him working takedowns against the cage, specifically trips against the cage on a Jai Herbert, getting him to the floor and controlling position. I'm going to go Ziam on the cards. Decision.
Man, when I first saw this matchup, I looked at it and I thought Herbert is more dangerous. Like Herbert, if I told you all I could say is I'm from the future and this is a first round knockout, would you change your pick?
I'd probably lean Herbert caught him on the feet. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the way I see it playing out. But all the logic you just said makes perfect sense. Ziam, more of an MMA fighter, training with the better wrestlers, probably could make this dynamic. And on the feet, he should be able to handle his shit. He's a good kicker, but for whatever reason, I see Herbert letting his hands go, maybe finding a kick up there as well. My initial thought, Herbert knockout. Since talking to smart people like you, I could definitely see Faraz Ziam getting it on the scorecards or maybe on the ground, dude. Is Faraz Ziam submission live?
I mean, with the Jai Herbert on the other side, it's not impossible that Ziam would find the sub. Looking at it, the odds for a Ziam sub is plus 800. So very unlikely being said by the odds.
Fuck, dude. The whole chat right now is with me on Jai Herbert. Jai pieces him up. Herbert can crack.
They're gonna sway you to the Herbert side.
Herbert knockout. No way Ziam wins. Herbert KO. All right, you guys are firing me up because that was my initial thought too. I'm not letting AJ sway me. I think Herbert could get this knockout, but it's a good point that Herbert is a striker. Faraz Ziam a striker too, but we're seeing him become more well-rounded. He's so young. One of those fighters where every time he fights, you could see something new out of him. I would not be surprised. I would not be shocked to see Ziam do well in the clinch, get some trip takedowns on the fence, get some double legs on the fence. That would be smart, man. Jai Herbert is dangerous. He had Tybura damn near unconscious on the feet. Talk about a chicken dance. My man was doing the stanky leg out there. And now look at what Tybura is doing. I mean, the stock only rose. We were already impressed by Tybura, and the stock only rose from there. So Jai Herbert has the potential to knock out anybody in that division. Maybe he does it here. Maybe a matchup like this where it's not a wrestler, it's not somebody who he's got to be super concerned that anything he does, he's going to get taken down. Maybe he lets his limbs go and gets a KO here, AJ. Fuck it. I'm sticking with my gut. I'm not listening to my head. This one came from right here, folks. Jai Herbert knockout.
All right, let's go. Finch on Herbert. I'm going Ziam. Let's get to the next fight on the card. It's Andre Muniz versus Paul Craig. I'm picking Paul Craig to beat him. I think Paul's taking him out, my man. I think Paul Craig is going to win. He's dropping in at 185. How's he looking? I checked Instagram, bro. I checked the gram, and he looks in shape. And he looks still full. So very interested to see how he does making weight, assuming that he is on point with his weight here. He now takes on an Andre Muniz who is of similar style. I would say both guys would be, rather submission specialists, both fairly tall and lanky. But Craig is just debuting at 185 for the first time ever. I said at 36, his body should be heavier than ever before. So to now cut to 85, I have a little bit of concern. So obviously, the scales are something I will look at for this matchup here. I do think Muniz has a pretty minimal striking threat, which as of recent is what got Paul Craig into trouble. I would say clunky striking styles on both sides, but there is more power in the punches of Paul Craig. I'll say Craig finds a way with his physicality and a bit of hands to strangle Andre Muniz. Let's say rear naked choke. Rear naked strangle, actually.
Thank you. Thank you for editing that. AJ, why rear naked strangle? Why not choke?
Why not choke? Because you choke on food, you strangle somebody. Mike Finch, he's instilled it into me. And it's true, though. It makes perfect sense.
Finch Academy. Thank you very much. Thank you. AJ, one stripe on the white belt.
Thank you. Listen, I got what's going on, man? I have 2 belts now, Finch Academy belt and this old blue. I get it. I got to get a different system.
Do you have stripes on your white belt?
I had what's it called? Just the blue, bro. Now,
yeah, you have a blue belt.
Yeah, I have the blue.
Oh shit! I didn't know you did that.
Forget that I'm a blue belt over here, man. I got jumped from 2-stripe white to blue because I got a brown belt and an arm triangle.
Hell yeah! Big respect, AJ. Yeah. Big fucking respect, dude. Are you making the shit? You're serious?
I'm dead serious, bro. Yeah. Not fucking. Listen, bro. I'm not saying that I'm great at jujitsu. I just have enough knowledge to be able to, articulate my points, bro.
AJ sent me this video of him sparring one of the best BKFC fighters way back in the day. I won't even put it out there, but I was like, okay, you guys got to respect that. AJ can throw the fuck down, okay? If it came down to AJ fighting these other guys who do the picks, I got AJ knockout, folks. You know what I'm saying? And us as a team, these guys are toast.
Yeah,
these guys are toast. It's a wrap. So
yeah, the toast.
Yeah, you better have the UFC fighters doing the picks because these other guys, they're getting their ass whipped. Look, and can I say one more thing? Ike P and Finch, we trust. I appreciate that. We've made $2 today. If you guys like the Monday money lines, give us more than $2 because California minimum wage is 15. Okay, so if you want to see me on fucking Monday, I need 15. Otherwise, we're going back to Thursdays. Anyway. Muniz and Craig. What an interesting matchup. Paul Craig dropping a weight class. I like what you're saying that he's in shape. He's ready to go. The weight class drop for Craig actually does make some sense to me, but what are his issues? His issues are he's not able to really decide where the fight takes place. He lays on his back a lot. Andre Muniz, a jiu-jitsu champ, a guy who's got really, really good submission ability. Now, I know what you're thinking at home. You're thinking, Mike, did you not just see him get choked out by what's more so a striker? Okay. The issues there are not alive in this fight. I don't think Paul Craig is that much better at striking than Andre Muniz. I don't think Paul Craig is as good at wrestling as Andre Muniz is. And on the floor, especially in a gi, I got Andre Muniz submission. It's competitive enough to where I think Andre Muniz decides where the fight takes place. He decides when they clinch, and Paul Craig's going to start doing that shit where he's pulling him on top of him, and you're not going to get an Andre Muniz from underneath playing guard like Paul Craig likes to do so often. So AJ, I'm super against you on this one. I love you, but I'm super against you on this one. I'm taking Muniz. I think Muniz dominates him 30-27.
30-27 call, Mike Finch. All right, Mike, your guy Muniz is a -243 favorite. I got the +208 underdog in Paul Craig. These lines are wide, man. I feel like Craig and him should be, a bit closer. It opened at +160 for Craig. Now I'm seeing him at massive plus money. Let's see how he looks on the scales. But personally, I think Craig is much more in the fight than the odds are entailing at the very least.
Do you think Craig can finish the fight?
I think he could win by submission. I think he could. I actually think he could sting Muniz up on the feet. Let's not forget against Shogun, he was landing some punches, man.
How old was Shogun, dog?
Listen, Shogun at 41 is still beating Muniz in a kickboxing match. All right.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know that. That's interesting that you threw that pick out there. I'm not sure. Prime Shogun for sure. But Ihor Poteri or whatever was looking like a bad motherfucker against old man Shogun. anyway. I think that Muniz would be the more likely guy to get a submission with a rear naked strangle. I think Muniz, if you judge him off his last fight, I understand. Judge him off the previous fights. Judge him off the Uriah Hall fight. Judge him off the previous performances. Muniz could bounce back here, dude. And Paul Craig, I mean, fuck, has he had some issues, So he's shown that the wrestling isn't quite coming together with the jiu-jitsu, as to where Muniz, I think I've been a little bit more impressed with in that regard, a more complete grappler, may I say. So AJ, I'm thinking Muniz, buddy. I'm excited about it too.
Listen, ride with your guy, ride with what you feel. Muniz the pick for Finch. I'm on Craig. The submission for Craig and Muniz, I'll read both off. Muniz sits at plus 125, Craig at plus 350. Going against the grain with Paul Craig. Finch going Muniz for the W. Let's get to the featured bout of the night. It's Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Tachifili. So I do believe that Nathaniel Wood will win this fight, though he's going to have to overcome, a bit of a length disadvantage. Fili is a pretty tough underdog in, majority of his fights, and he's long. On the opposite side, though, Wood is a very precise and technical striker who I think is going to be able to close the gap here. He does also attack the legs fairly well, but he's going to have to watch out for that Fili straight as he's ripping at the legs. I think he's got the technical chops to do just the thing. He seems poised to be, that up-and-coming contender. The way they're building Nathaniel Wood, he's now moved up to 145. He's developing the frame for this weight class. He should be able to beat Andre Fili in this matchup.
Yeah, Nathaniel Wood coming off the win against Charles Jourdain and Charles Rosa. Man, he should be able to exterminate Fili here. Fili's going to try to bang him up on the feet. He should be trying to bang a big right hand. He should be trying to get him out of there. I don't think he does. I really like Wood in this matchup. Does he get a finish? That's what's tough. Just money line it to be safe.
Money line sits at minus 210. Actually, minus 190 I'm seeing for Nathaniel Wood as well. Andre Fili, the plus 180 dog. I like Nathaniel Wood to get the win in this fight. He actually opened at a minus 325 favorite. Method of victory, Mike Finch, do you think Wood's probably getting it done on the cards? That's plus 110. But if he were to win by TKO, it's plus 550.
Wow. Against Fili, that could happen, bro.
I could see him knocking Fili out.
Yeah, dude, I could actually see that. Plus 550. Come on.
I like the sprinkle on that.
They're trying to make me bite that. Bite it. No, I prefer my percentages are way better if I go money line, folks. So Nathaniel Wood parlayed up with the main event, something like that. So we'll have to look at that. Could we give a shout out? We got another $2, AJ. God bless Robert Saladino. Are you Italian, brother?
Robert Saladino. He is Italian. I know Robert
sounds like
very
you work
well.
for the Sopranos, bro. He's a hit man. He says Jai Herbert, Alvarez, Duncan, Lerone, and Munoz. I think he means Muniz because Munoz owns Rain Training Center, and he's not fighting right now. So I do think he needs Muniz. Locked, he said, locked. Those are a lot of locks for you guys.
Those are some fucking savage calls, Salandino. Good luck with your plays, my friend. I'm against you on a couple, but I respect your side as always. And it's good to see you riding with Alvarez to get it done. Let's go, champ. Good luck with the fucking parlay. It's going to be savagery.
I think Wood money line is pretty smart here, and you're gonna hit a swish more than likely if you put that ball up there.
Splash, baby. Nathaniel Wood for the win. Let's keep running up. Let's get to the co-main event of the evening. It's Molly McCann versus Julia Stoliarenko in what I think will be one of the most high-level women's striking matches ever. Listen, no, I'm not trying to shit on these girls. Molly McCann's a savage, bro. She is dangerous. But seeing this as the co-main event, I'm not hating on Molly McCann in the co-spot. I just think Stoliarenko is not to the level of a co-main event. I mean, Chelsea Chandler just ran her over last time out, and Chandler just lost to Norma Dumont. So Molly McCann is in a position here where she fights a tough girl in Julia Stoliarenko in a spot that is made for her. But here is the red flag about this matchup, or yellow flag, but I want to bring this up. Molly McCann is 5'4", Stoliarenko 5'7". Molly McCann has a 62-inch reach, Stoliarenko 69. Molly McCann, 13-5 as a pro. Stoliarenko, 10-7-1. But note, Stoliarenko did fight in Lethway, which is a fucking badass art, and she has a win in Lethway. So I'm just putting out there, you know, Stoliarenko has a size advantage and is an experienced fighter. Molly McCann opened up as a very wide favorite. She's now come down a bit. She's just -204. I like that better. I'm going to pick Molly Meatballs to win this fight. I do believe she finds the TKO because what Stoliarenko showed me in her last fight is that if you put the pace pressure on her, you can get her to wilt. She breaks. Molly McCann, I don't see breaking here. She's not fighting somebody that's going to put her on her back and beat her up. So I do think Molly McCann will win. And, you know, just when the lines first opened and as wide as Molly was, I'm glad to see them come down and be a bit more playable. Molly should TKO her. She's definitely better than Stoliarenko. But a lot of people are talking about, will Stoliarenko even make 126? Because her last fight was at 140.
Right. Yeah. Stoliarenko much bigger, taller. And if that was everything, then she would win, but it's just not. Molly McCann is a much better striker. She's, you know, I got to meet her in California here a couple months ago when she came to corner against Kat Zingano. And, you know, Molly McCann is training with great women and Patty the Baddie, obviously, and is going to have that place fucking going crazy. And Leah McCourt is who she was there cornering. I don't know why I couldn't get that name. Shout out to Leah McCourt. I think that Molly McCann's a much better striker here. She'll probably hit what she wants. Spinning back fist. I don't know what would it be the third for her, you know. The meatball will probably get rolling here. Probably get a nice tasty win. And let's be honest, that's the way they set it up. They didn't give her a fight that would be, you know, your normal co-main event where, oh man, either of these two are going to the top of the division. They want to see Molly Meatball get a rolling again, and Stoliarenko fit the bill. You know, Stoliarenko probably needs a takedown to win this fight, needs clinch work to win this fight. I think Molly Meatball breaks that clinch, uses her striking, explodes in and out, you know, tries to make nothing happen on the outside, and then everything happen when they clash, spinning and throwing big bombs over the top, busting Stoliarenko up, could potentially get her out of there. You know, Molly Meatball finishing this fight is pretty likely. So maybe we'll think Molly Meatball in the third round.
Molly Meatball in the third round. So Moneyline is -204. Molly Meatball by TKO in the third. Mike Finch's Mystic Mac call is +700 for that one. And Molly McCann, just a straight KO, is +150.
Yeah.
Stoliarenko's big dog, +174. I got Molly Meatballs all day by TKO.
Molly Meatball. Do they have a walkout song for her? Because it's Oh Patty the Baddie. Does Molly have one?
Oh, Molly Meatballs. Makes me crave fucking spaghetti, bro. I'm craving a little food. Get me hungry.
Talking about spaghetti. I'm hungry. I know AJ's Italian. Don't get him going with the spaghetti.
Oh. Give me a fucking spaghetti. Listen, give me the spaghetti for this one. I'm going Molly spaghetti to win.
Saladino could maybe make you some spaghetti. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man, I don't want to put any stress on him. I'm not trying to bother him. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Pick'em MMA just throws $2 Canadian. I didn't even see you, man. My apologies.
How are those stacking up to the US dollar?
Wood is just more technical. How's that stack up to the USD?
Yeah, what's a Canadian dollar? I want to look up.
I think it's close. It's like 1.7. I think so. You can look it up.
0.76.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We appreciate the $1.50.
Thank you for the Canadian change, bro. When I go to fucking Tim Hortons, I'll make sure to use Canadian dollars.
Brother, I'm from Chicago. Never been to Canada. You know what I mean?
Really?
Well, so you fire off a bottle rocket to get over there, but I've never.
Why not? What's your issue with Canada, Mike Finch?
Cold, bro. I'm in Huntington Beach, California right now. Folks, all right, I ain't going colder. If I'm on vacation, it's in Kauai or Maui. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to fucking Toronto, freezing my ass off with you.
I heard it's nice, though, man. I heard it's nice.
Sure, in the summer, I would like to go. It's on the list, bro. Me and AJ should link up for a UFC Canada card.
UFC Canada, man. Hey, listen, we'll bring all the Canadian fans and count me in, bro. We're going McCann for the win, as everybody's expecting. Let's get to the main event. We appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel because I'm closing in on 20,000, baby. Let's go. It's Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura. I'm picking Tom Aspinall to win. I think he's probably going to hurt him with punches and then TKO him, but an Aspinall submission is always live. I've already been keeping my eye on the inside distance tag, and I missed the boat because it's already minus 325. So I'm picking Aspinall inside of the distance, officially TKO. I think this fight's going under 2.5 rounds, and I think Aspinall to get his hand raised. This is a good comeback fight after, hurting his knee badly against Curtis Blades. They give him a Tybura, who's, a gutsy, tough veteran, but a guy that's clearly beatable for Aspinall, and he should win by finish.
I think on its face, it looks like a huge mismatch, but Tybura is competent, Tybura is definitely competent. I think Tybura, a lot of people are thinking this thing ends in like a couple minutes. I think first off, Tom Aspinall should potentially be a little more conservative. He went out there and got injured right away against Curtis Blades. Maybe that means he stretches it out a little bit, lets his hands go, make sure he's checking the kicks nice, doesn't want to start too fast. Do you remember what he said about being in the back? What he made those same comments that I've heard from GSP and Donald Cerrone, and I've felt myself, where you're in the back, you're like, why do I feel this way? You're like, I don't feel like getting in a fist fight right now, and Aspinall deals with some of those demons. And so it's something to consider when you're betting on him. Could that mean he's going to show to be a slow starter as we go on in his career here? Certainly a possibility. So I just see a lot of people saying it's going to exterminate him in the first round. Maybe the best bet here is that this thing goes over a round and a half or something, because Tybura, competent on the ground, not the type of guy to just get choked immediately. Now that I say that, watch Aspinall run him over like he's standing on the fucking freeway. Tom Aspinall is better at everything. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's got better striking. He's got better wrestling, I think. I mean, the wrestling's probably close. He's definitely real good at jiu-jitsu, and he probably does find a way to finish this fight. But let's call it late, 4-5. I don't know. I think these guys have a decent competitive fight, and that it's a good way to welcome Tom Aspinall back. This isn't too crazy of a matchup. I didn't want to see him come back at the top of the division. This is right below the top. This is nice. Tybura, lots of wins over quality opponents, and Aspinall should get a quality win here. Obviously, we're all picking Tommy Aspinall, and we're hoping he doesn't blow his knee out in 30 seconds.
I agree 100%, Finch. And I got to shout out Alan Stubbs for AJ's Spaghetti and Meatball, Molly by KO, 1999. Alan Stubbs, you're a gem to society. God bless.
That's phenomenal. See, that's what I'm talking about. This is love.
Thank
Alan
you,
Stubbs. Alan, the last name might be Stubbs, but his money's long. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you, Alan.
Let's go. Alan Stubbs, my brother. Thank you, homie. Listen, Aspinall to win, but it's about how does he get it done, because you're not going to make money betting the money line, which is minus 550. That's the name of the show. So, yeah, the most confidence is on Moneyline. But probably Aspinall winning the fight inside of the distance. The line for that sits at minus 325. It's super wide. Does Aspinall TKO him? It's minus 150. Does he sub him? That's plus 250. That's where you get a little juice. But, Tybura is a black belt. He has good jiu-jitsu skills. He's a guy that finishes a lot of heavyweights on the ground, and he's known for taking a lot of damage. So I will expect a bit of a calculated approach by Aspinall, but I do think he is levels above Marcin Tybura in the striking and in the grappling. He's just such a better athlete and so much quicker with his ground transitions. I gotta say, I think it's going to be an inside the distance at minus 325. It's just not a pretty tag. Let's see. What rounds do we have? Let's see. Rounds 1 and 2 win. Do we have that available? No, I don't have it yet. I think that Aspinall winning in round 1, what is it? It's plus 100. But if you play it at round 2, it's plus 300. Round 3 for Aspinall is plus 1,000. I like under 2.5. Unfortunately, every line I'm seeing right now is under 1.5 at minus 180. If you played over 1.5 and you really respect Tybura's toughness at plus 150, you'll get a little something.
Yeah, I feel like I'm skipping the rounds 1 and 2, buddy. I could see this one going decision. Could you see this one going to a decision? Tybura being durable and experienced in the UFC, and also a very competent grappler. You don't see this thing potentially going long?
I'll tell you this. I believe Tybura is quite durable, but I will say I think there is a slight overrated durability that he has now, like because he's taking big punches from heavyweights like Walt Harris and Greg Hardy, but he's not taking big punches from precise punchers like Tom Aspinall. He was knocked out in 59 seconds by Augusto Sakai some time ago. Shamil Abdurrahimov TKO'd him as well. But this matchup here, I think that Aspinall will find the kill shot, but it's more a matter of when, not if. I don't know, plus 150 over 1.5, but then Aspinall comes out like a bat out of hell and shins him early. But I don't think it's awful at plus money.
Yeah, I'm gonna even, I was thinking late finish for Aspinall. I'm gonna even say decision. Because I kind of like Tybura. Tybura's come through for me a couple times, man. I like picking Tybura, and I do think, not to overuse the word, but just being competent enough. He's not going to make stupid mistakes against Tom Aspinall. We'll see, obviously. The UFC experience means something to me. And, won 4 out of his last 5 or better than that. I mean, he's beaten some good guys too. So
I guess
Tom Aspinall, I've got high hopes for. I'm with you guys. I want to see Tom Aspinall challenge for the title too. I like to see the good jiu-jitsu game, the good striking game. This guy is competent. I saw somebody say, I don't know if this is true, that he spars with Tyson Fury. I hope not too much. I hope his brain's not bouncing around in his head that much. Tyson Fury standing, pop, pop, pop. I don't know how much that's going to help him get ready for Tybura. But I do think that he'll win this fight, 4 out of 5 rounds and potentially a late finish or a decision.
I'll tell you this with Aspinall. We got to talk about something, Finch. He beat Alexander Volkov in the first round, 345 straight arm lock. He'd stopped Spivak in halfway in to the first round. Arlovsky stops in the second. I do think at some point he's getting a finish in the first 3, man.
Okay, finish in the first 3, but that the bookies are with you, right? The odds makers are with you, right?
The over is plus 145. The fight is expected to end earlier than that.
I like that. Over
1.5. Yeah.
I think people are underestimating Tybura and an Aspinall who's coming off of the couch. Not the couch. I don't mean to be. That's not what I know he's training, but an Aspinall is coming off of a major injury. It's worth questioning.
I get it. Listen, let me tell you this, bro. Let me tell you this. Look at this, right? Shoey bet, Mike Finch. Super Benny's calling you out. He says he'll bet you. Now, I'll be honest. That's a bad bet for Finch because going to decision with heavyweights is risky territory to bet on.
Yeah, it has to go to. How about we do the over under? I mean, that would. And by the way, you guys already know I ain't drinking out of my fucking shoe. I'm not a savage like you guys. Okay, there's no when I drop food on the ground, it's gone. There's no 3-second rule. I'm not one of these fucking. It's
a 12-second rule. What are you talking about?
12 seconds. You Florida guys are out of your mind. Okay, I get too many colds for that. These tonsils are not ready for a 12-second rule, brother. I mean, within 12 seconds, how many bugs out there in Florida could be on that shit? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I think that you could definitely get some type of virus, man. But the bugs is the least of your concern, man. I'm more worried about people's fucking shoe bottoms,
I was just cleaning my shoe out today. There was sand in there. I'm not trying to eat sand. If I'm gonna do a shoey, I gotta get the one he was selling. Why am I so bad with names this week? What's his name?
Tuivasa.
Tai Tuivasa. Ty's got those like rubber shoes that it might as well be a cup at that point. I'm down with that. Maybe I'll order one for y'all if you really want to see the shoey, because I ain't getting my funky ass shoe with alcohol in it. I'm not drinking that.
Respect, Mike Finch. I ain't doing no shoeies again anytime soon. Aspinall, the win. Tybura, crafty, tough vet, but Aspinall should win it. Listen, it's time for a very infamous section, the lock of the night. UFC London lock of the night. Mike Finch, start us off. What are you thinking, man?
I'm feeling like a dog. I'm feeling like going for a dog on this card. There are a few bets I like on this card. This one seems better for betting than some of the previous cards we've looked at. And one of the more mispriced ones I like, he said, I got hands like Mike Tyson. I think he might be right. Give me Yanal Ashmouz. I think he potentially gets that KO, but he doesn't have to. All he has to do is win at dog money. Give me Ashmouz.
Ashmouz, the Israeli, to win. He is sitting at plus 125 as the underdog. For me, Mike Finch, I've been in rocky road territory with the lock section. So I said this week I'm going for a decent line of somebody that I feel highly confident they shall be victorious. I'm going Nathaniel Wood this week's lock, man. I got to ride with him. I got to ride with my confidence. And I think a sprinkle prop on plus 550 win by KO is not a bad idea. Not as much excitement as going for the dog, but at the end of the day, I'm interested in fucking hitting the bow and arrow. So let's go Nathaniel Wood for the W. Poetan.
Wood makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, folks. You know, It's always fun to bet on dogs and stuff. But remember last week, how many favorites won? The whole card?
Besides Bueno Silva, she was the only
Besides what exactly till the main event. Until the main event, the entire card, the favorites won. So you can't hate, you know? I like it, and I agree with you.
Let's go, baby. Thank you, Pick'em, for saying it's a good lock, my man. I'm riding with Nathaniel Wood. I feel good about that pick. Mike, it's been a pleasure chatting it up about the fight game and all things. We got a vacant title in the light heavyweight division. That's crazy news, right?
Do you want to parlay it up?
Oh, my God. What are we doing? Am I fucking closing out? No, I'm just bringing up some news, bro.
I've got a parlay ready. I was disappointed. I'm like,
Listen,
AJ's
Mike,
ending
I'm
this.
just trolling you.
I'm
just
just
trolling
parlay ready. That's
no, I was just giving you a hard time, Mike.
AJ, steal my parlay if you don't have one ready, bro.
That's what I did. I was stealing your parlay. I was just buying time. I just stole the Finch parlay. What do you think that was? I'll doing a ploy.
The folks while you put a parlay together. No problem.
I got the parlay right in here. My man. Let's go. Let's get into the parlays. It's parlay time. And Mike Finch, kick the song off, man. You got it.
All the competition that try to compete, stand back, watch the bomb drop.
Parlay time. Open up your wallets and let's bet on some fist fights.
Let's go, champ. Mike
parlay
Finch.
Time. I hope it's like last week and I get my parlay right. All right, here we go. I've got Tommy fucking Aspinall. How are we not going to put Tommy Aspinall in the parlay? Obviously, he is one of the best heavyweights we've seen, and he's going to be able to more than likely win this fight. If it was like 7-1, that's the only time I would start looking away from it. It's not, 4-1 or something? I could be a little off. Give me Tommy Aspinall. I like it. And I do think Muradov is a pretty solid pick here too. I mean, why is Bryan Barberena, who was fat at 170, going to now be fatter at 185? I don't get it at all. I think Muradov is going to be a marauder on the feet. He's going to be faster even than the 170 pounder. You're trying to think, like, what type of advantage would Bryan Barberena have? More belly to throw into his hooks? I don't understand, folks. So I have to go Muradov. I have to go Aspinall. Can I touch base to see where the odds are on that?
Minus 150 line, Finch.
Minus 150. I'm kind of okay, especially since I went with the dog on the lock. Let's do a nice conservative, just classic conservative Mike Pence style conservative parlay. I like that a lot, my friend. Not that I even like Mike Pence. He did a pretty bad interview with Tucker Carlson, if you guys saw that. I'm just saying that my pick here is conservative. Give me the dog lock, and then go ahead and give me that nice parlay. I should just, could I just mention one thing? One thing I want to mention is I actually like Muniz against AJ's pick. We disagree on it, and maybe that made me keep it out. I don't know, but I like Muniz over Paul Craig. Another thing I will be looking at touching for this weekend.
You like Muniz over Paul Craig, Mike Finch. As I said, though, I don't blame you for that one. I don't blame you for wanting to go against me there because, I kind of see exactly what you're saying. Now, for me, I'm going to throw a parlay together as well. I like a female starting it off. I like Ketlen Vieira on the slate. I also like Makhmud Muradov in my parlay. But then for the final piece, I think that I have to give you guys a heater. I think I'm going to put, Tom Aspinall on the line to give me a 3-fighter parlay. Ketlen Vieira, Makhmud Muradov, Tom Aspinall, plus 186. I do believe this one hits. I'm not going to lie to you. I was also thinking about adding in Molly Meatballs, which brings you to plus 313, but that's just the extension. The real safer side would be Muradov, Vieira, Aspinall. I kind of want to bring a second one, though, because I had 2 in my mind, and I'm going to bring this one as well. I also think first fight of the night, Jafel Filho should probably win. And I feel like at minus 125, the value is something good to line up. And you guys know I'm, more confident on Joel Alvarez than Mike Finch's. A Filho Alvarez plus 177. Just 2 things to read off that aren't bad tags, man.
Right, 100%. I like those, buddy. I like those. I think your first parlay makes perfect sense, even with the Molly Meatball, which I considered as well. But it's like, how fat are we gonna get? A 4-leg parlay. Now you're kind of reaching. You try to reduce.
I like the underdog parlays, man. That's what I like doing, especially with bare knuckle now, bro.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, shit. Bare knuckle, we do well. And I think we're going to do well this card, folks. Always bet responsibly. You got to make the decision, folks. It's just us giving you our take, okay? You got to make the bets at the end of the day. I'm going to try to convince AJ as soon as we get off here to do this thing later. I love that 6:30 time slot. We'll see. We'll see how I do, folks. We'll see how I do. Judging from his face, not so well. But I'm going to try my best to convince AJ to try a 6:30 time slot, and we're debating the Monday Thursday thing. So it's been a pleasure, folks. We try to get a good audience for the live, and we always appreciate you guys chiming in. Enjoy the fights this weekend. For sure I will, because top to bottom there are good ones on this card. A lot of fun fights for real fight fans on this one.
Listen, guys, I appreciate you all tuning in. Much love. Run the likes up. And if you're new, subscribe. Plenty of content dropping all week, so keep your eyes peeled for it. Another episode of Moneyline in the books. UFC London, bringing the fire. Cannot wait for it. And we will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys. Peace, Finch. Have a safe one and a blessed one.